All right, you guys, we are back and we are live. Welcome back to our weekly live feed. We are going live twice this week. Can you believe it? Twice. 2 times. 2. Welcome, guys. As you get logged on, if you're getting logged on Instagram, we are live over on Facebook and YouTube, which is a better experience. We always give it a few minutes. If you're on Instagram and you want to go to YouTube, you can click the link in my bio on Instagram. It'll take you over to the YouTube channel. Over there, you're going to see the screen shares, all of that stuff that you can't see on Instagram. You can listen on Instagram if you like. You're just hearing my voice. That's all. And no pictures. So check it out on YouTube. What's up? We got California checking in. And as always, you guys, when you get logged on here, go ahead and type in the comments. Tell me where you're from. Tell me where you're logging on from. And while we're wasting some time here waiting for everybody to get on, our Bikini Athlete Bag QR code up here in the corner. It's also in the description box in our YouTube channel here. I think we've got like 10, 12 of these bags left or something like that. They've been going really, really fast. I know a bunch of you guys here on the live stream actually bought them. So when you get them, make sure that you take pictures and you tag me and let me know how much you love them. And I'll repost you and all of that fun stuff too. So hello again. Yes, hello again from San Diego. We got a couple of Californians in the house here. Also, while we're here, our YouTube channel partners Prozis right here. Discount code is Cuties10. It is like a superstore for all of your supplement needs and healthy foods and all the fun things too. I put up a reel today with the Zero Break Duo, which is our Kit Kat, which a lot of y'all got the right answer in the reel. They are a healthy version of Kit Kats, which are awesome. So check them out. Scan that QR code. Use my code to get yourself some more deals. They actually have a sale going on right now where you actually get more off. You get 25% off on some of their foods and 20% off on some of their muscle gaining stuff. So check that out. And then our second YouTube channel partner here is Liquid Sun Rayz, which again, scan that QR code, use my code Cuties15. You notice a theme here, Cuties. Cuties15. To get a discount on anything on the site. Book your tan for your show, get your makeup, get whatever you need from them. Skin prep, all of the fun things too. They got all sorts of fun products on there. Check it out. So let's see. We've got Texas, Canada, Texas, New Jersey. Where else? Where else you guys from? Bama, Alabama. There you go. Love it. I love it. We had some Canadian, more Canadians. We had Canadians last night too. It's awesome. Love it. And Utah, all over the place, you guys. Love it. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get into tonight's topic, which we're going to talk about the 2 shows that we have this weekend. We're going to preview these shows. I'm going to go ahead and leave the QR code up there for the cutie bag. If you haven't gotten it yet, the overnighter bag, check it out. But let's go ahead. 2 nights in a row for these lives. I used to do them twice, 3 times a week. But YouTube actually rewards pre-recorded content more than they do lives when it comes to their algorithm and stuff like that. So that's why we started doing the behind the bikini and all those things, the shorts, all of that. So we still do the lives because I love coming on with you guys and I love getting to interact with you and everything too. And I love doing that even on the weekends, like when I'm at shows and stuff too. So the lives will never go away. We just have restructured things a little bit too. I'm from Chicago. Yes, lucky you guys. Yes. So let's go ahead and pull up the pro lists. We're going to start with Optimum. So here's the competitor list. That's classic, men's physique, figure, bikini. Here we go. It is a underwhelming list. There's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 competitors in bikini in Optimum. And here's the thing, like we used to wait to do these previews because sometimes people would jump in last minute up till like Thursday. There's none of that this year. They cut off strictly at 3:00 on Monday. If you don't have your contract in, you can't compete. So when the lists come out that week, the lists are final. That is the final list. I understand the concept behind that. I understand why they're doing that. But I kind of think it makes it a little bit less interesting. Just like we were talking about with the point system last week. I kind of like the fact that some people will come in and kind of swoop in last minute. It makes it fun, makes it more exciting. Type in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think putting that strict 3 p.m. Deadline on Mondays, putting that in place, do you think that was a good idea, or do you think that was a bad idea? Again, I understand the concept behind it. Promoters need to be able to be ready for the athletes to actually show up and prepared and all of that. So I get all of that. But I don't know. I liked having that what if somebody jumps in or somebody switches a show or whatever. I liked having that uncertainty going through the week. Again, made it more exciting, right? Taking that out and putting the definitive deadline in there took away that fun part, right? Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a bad idea. I understand why they did it. It makes sense. I mean, I run events. I know why it's important to know who's coming to your event. That makes complete and total sense. But again, it kind of just takes out the excitement, right? And they made a new rule. I liked it, but now that we share moving and grooving in this season, I think I agree with it. Yeah, it was more exciting. Exactly. I agree. Absolutely. Because girls would register for all the shows and then choose the easiest one to go to. No. It wasn't everyone. It was like one or two girls. It still would make it fun because, there would be one or two girls that would show up that you didn't expect to show up and they would just jump in last minute. And I've seen that happen where a girl's not really sure if she's going to be ready or not. And so she decides to go ahead and just do the show. And who knows, maybe she ends up winning it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I go back to, I understand like the concept behind it. I understand why they did it. It makes sense. But again, it takes away that fun part. It takes away the fun part. I like the fun parts. That's why I like the point system. I think it makes it more interesting, right? So when you go into these shows, somebody who's sitting there and ready and thinks they want to take on this lineup in the Optimum, they could jump in. Now, do I think they would have? No, I don't think that they would have seen the list because Ashley Kaltwasser is on the list. So kind of the same concept that we saw with Amy in New York. I think if people saw Ashley on this list, they would not jump in, right? So I don't think in this particular situation it made a difference. I don't think it did, right? Yeah, and I think there could be a better, I think what happens a lot of times is there's kind of like these knee-jerk reactions of we got to make a correction, and I get why they have to make a correction, but it's an overcorrection. So it's like you just want to like sort of turn the wheel, not yank it. You know what I mean? So I think they yank the wheel a lot. So I think turning it back a little bit slightly, correcting the course, realigning the wheels, I think that's the better way to go. Small incremental changes versus changing the whole thing. So again, I go back to, I get it. I understand why they did it, but I just think it was an overcorrection. So again, going back to, I don't think it would have made a difference in this particular case because Ashley is on this list, right? So we always talk about how, Ashley and Amy are essentially our Olympia blockers this year, right? So going to this, I mean, obviously she's our front runner coming into it. I did pull up a couple of the people that could be potential, top 2, top 3, all of those kinds of things. But I mean, I think this is probably going to be a win for Ashley. Now, I go back to with this as well, like this particular show in previous years, just depends on the year if it's competitive or not. A lot of times it's not. And we'll get somebody random that wins the show. And sometimes it is. It's usually a lot bigger than this. I'll be honest. It's usually a lot bigger than this. We got a lot of girls that go into this show. So I'm kind of surprised how small the list is, to be honest. But we have Alessia going into it. Now, Alessia just did Pittsburgh. That was our first show of the season. She did not place. So she's a previous Olympian. She tends to be top 5 in regular pro shows. So I do think there's only 9 girls. So I think we're going to see her in the top 5 here. I think she's going to be towards the bottom of the top 5. I think she's probably going to be, I don't know, 3rd, 4th, that kind of thing. Maybe 5th. Who knows? She in Pittsburgh, I felt like her look was a little bit better than what we've seen in the past. I'm trying to see if I can get a good front pose. As far as fullness is concerned, here's a good front pose. Alessia always comes in a little bit too hard and a little bit too stringy, right? She was most definitely fuller here in Pittsburgh, but I don't necessarily think it helped her shape. So from the front, she's a little bit blocky. Right here, when I'm looking at this front pose, what I see more than anything else is I see like full on six pack, right? I see full on shoulders. She's very upper body dominant here. That could be a posing thing, but it's also a physique thing. You know, now that she's fuller and rounder, you see where her physique flaws kind of are. You know what I mean? She's always been a little bit more blocky through the waistline, and this made her look even more so because she just filled that muscle out a little bit more. Um, I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm just gonna be frank. I think maybe she should try and move up to figure. I think that her frame would probably fit figure quite a bit better. I mean, you see the flaring lat here. You see the shoulder cap. You know, she's got the etched in abs. I mean, she could do figure, right? And I'm going to turn her to the back, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that too. Let's get a back pose. Now, she clearly did fill out, so I'm going to hand it to her because that was something she needed to do. She needed to fill out. But when you look at her from the back, she's got legs. She's got width in her back. She's bending over. If she stood up and opened her lats out and stood in a figure pose, I really think she could do figure. I really do. I think she's got enough muscle. She can clearly get conditioned enough. She's got fullness in the muscle bellies, and she's got the width in her back. I'd love to see what she looks like in just a couple of figure poses. I mean, now that she's filled her muscle out in comparison to where she was the last couple of years, being really stringy, now that she's filled out a little bit, put her in some figure poses. Let's see what happens, right? That's just I'd like to see that. I think she would fit. I do. I think she'd fit in the division. So she's gonna have a hard time at this show because she's still more muscular. She's still denser. She's not full enough when we talk about putting her next to an Ashley, that kind of thing. So she's gonna have a tough time at this show. Maybe instead of being a late addition to this show, maybe throw in her figure instead. Try out figure instead of bikini. Just see if it works. It might work. I mean, her conditioning is there. She can do it real easy. I'd just like to see her in the poses. I'd like to see her in the poses and see what she looks like. Let's go to... So Ashley, clearly our front runner, just like we talked about with Amy last week with New York. We just talked about Ashley and about her shape and her frame the last, when she was here in Pittsburgh when we reviewed this show. My critique with this particular front pose is still the vacuuming with the rib cage. I can see that rib cage poking. And then the hand, I like to see the hand come down and relax a little bit. She was one of the more conditioned of the top four. So she was on point with that. The week prior to that, when she did Girl Power, she was soft. So she came in a lot in a week. So what that tells us, she's had a couple of weeks off here since Pittsburgh. A week. She's had a week off since Pittsburgh. So she could look vastly different because she did look vastly different from Girl Power into Pittsburgh. I don't know what they gave her as far as feedback. So you may know, I can't remember what they told her feedback was for this particular show. So if anybody knows it, go ahead and throw it into the comments. But again, she lost by 1 point, so it wasn't like she was way off or anything like that. She just didn't win. That's all. Hair and makeup was good here. I will say this too, because I was there in person in Pittsburgh. Her makeup was a little muddy on her forehead. I did notice that. Her makeup was a little off on her forehead. I don't know if it just wasn't blended right or what, but I remember saying that when I was in the audience. There was just something a little off with her foundation. Let's get her to the back. Here we go. Here's the back pose. So if you remember what we talked about with her back pose is she's kind of pinching a little bit, meaning like she's up, her arms are too up on her legs. She needs to let them relax a little, which is diminishing her delts and her width in her back. Not a fan of the suit cut. We talked about suit cut. Oh yeah, that's right. Tyler talked about the bikini walk. I forgot about that. It was her walk. That's correct. I don't know if we talked about that here on this live feed. They said that it was her walk. That's right. That she needed to refine her walk, and that when she walked, she didn't keep her glutes up. So that's how important the walk is. I do believe we did talk about that here on this live. so stuff happens so quickly within a matter of 2 weeks, right? So, yeah, in general, like her conditioning, I thought was on. She just needed a few little posing tweaks as usual. Her presentation aspect, when it comes down to being up there with those top people, sometimes the presentation is what gets her. I've said it several times that she's the only one that actually pulls off this T-back suit bottom, and I still don't think it's the best look on her. I'd still like to see a different suit bottom on her. And I felt like her glutes didn't pop like they typically do here at this show. So my own 2 cents. But that said, going into Optimum, I mean, to be honest with you, it should be a pretty easy win for her. It should be a pretty easy win. I don't see anybody taking it over. I just don't. If anybody can prove me wrong, go for it. But I just don't see anybody beating her. Now Sierra is doing this show. Sierra did win this show last year, so I'm sure she's coming back to defend that title. We haven't seen her on stage since the Olympia, so she could definitely have some improvements here. Will it be enough to actually beat Ashley? Highly doubt it. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, that's no knock on Sierra by any stretch of the imagination. When we're talking about a 3-time, perennial top Olympian, all that kind of stuff. So I just don't see, I don't see anybody overtaking Ashley in this particular position. And we haven't seen Sierra on stage since the Olympia, so she could have made some significant changes. In this particular look, I would say she looks a little bit worn down, a little bit thin with her legs and things like that. But, she's had some time off. So I'm sure she's had time to fill back out and all of that too. So, Ashley, the suit bottom. I mean, the thing is with Ashley, it is what it is. I'm going to say my piece. I mean, there's very few things to change with Ashley. That suit bottom is one of them. I'm just being honest. The suit bottom is one of them. So, I don't know. I just love to see her come out on stage with a different suit bottom. I think it would just be more flattering. I'm not a fan of that particular T-back on anybody at all. So, what's up, Maya? But yeah, I am curious to see what Sierra looks like. I don't see her overtaking Ashley. Stranger things have happened. It very well could happen. Ashley's not unbeatable. Obviously, she was beaten by Amy just 2 weeks ago. So I'm not saying that Ashley can't be beaten. Lauren Dannemiller has beat her in the past. When Ashley's off, she's able to be beaten. But we haven't seen an off Ashley in a very long time. And even what I would consider to be off for her at Girl Power, she still won. So, it just is what it is. It's simple math. So I am curious to see what Sierra looks like. I'll go ahead and share a back shot of her from the Olympia as well. And this is the main area where, if she's really improved her glutes, great, but I don't see her glutes actually beating Ashley's glutes. I mean, and again, I keep going back to, it's not a knock against Sierra because it's really, really hard to beat Ashley in the glutes. I mean, that's what she's known for. That's what she's here for. You know what I mean? Like, Ashley's glutes are what beats everybody's glutes. Like everybody, other than whoever has been Miss Bikini Olympia the last couple of years. So, I do want to see the improvements that Sierra has made. I want to see what she looks like now. I would put her probably in second place. I would put her next to Ashley at this particular show. Hey, but prove me wrong. Stranger things have happened. Come in, beat the queen, right? Beat the cockroach. Beat the cockroach. She calls herself the cockroach. I didn't make that up. Ashley did, so don't come for me. So, and then I brought up Stephanie too. Stephanie did place top 5 in Hawaii. She just did Wasatch, but I didn't, you know what? Let me pull up Wasatch because I think they might have spelled her name wrong. Hang on a second. Let me go to contest for a second. See if I can find her in Wasatch. Here we go. They spelled her name different. Steph. They called her Steph at Wasatch versus Stephanie. There we go. We got more recent pictures. There we go. So she did place at Wasatch. Here we go. I felt like her conditioning wasn't quite there. You can see it in her legs. So she's had a few weeks since Wasatch, obviously, to bring the conditioning in a little bit more. If she does that, I still think she's going to be a little bit more on the muscular side. So I think she's probably going to compare better to Sierra and to Alessia than she will even to Ashley. So I do think that like the top 4-ish are going to be between them, and it's going to be a matter of who comes in best. Sierra's a little bit more on the muscular side. Steph is a little bit more on the muscular side. Alessia is a little bit more on the muscular side. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of them comes in and gets next to Ashley. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would assume she's much tighter at this show, especially I think it's like a month or something like that since Wasatch. So she's had time. She's had time to definitely improve. Here we go. So you can see here, I mean, she's got great shape. She just wasn't tight enough. That's all. She just wasn't tight enough at Wasatch. So, yeah, she is a little bit more exaggerated. And again, that's why I think she's again, the physiques between her, Alessia, and Sierra are probably going to compare pretty well, right? I think the three of them are going to compare pretty well. And then Ashley's going to just be the odd man out. So I'll be interested to see how it goes down between the three of them. That's really going to be kind of the story of this show. You know what I mean? So I think those are going to be your top. Now, again, this is a small show, so it's possible that somebody could just come in that we don't have on the radar that could do well here. But we'll see. We'll see. So there's your list for Optimum right there. Now, Klash is going to be good. Klash has a good amount of competitors and a good amount of good competitors too, like ones that have been in the top 5 all this year, have been in the Olympia, all of that. So this is going to be an interesting show. I just realized I don't think I brought Hope up. Hope competed last, it's been over a year, I think. Let me pull her up too, because I just realized I think I forgot to pull her pictures up. And I do want to show her. Let's see. Wheel, if they're going to let me pull her pictures up. There we go. Okay, so we got her up too. Okay, so we got Maria. So Maria just placed top 4 in Pittsburgh. Looked phenomenal. We talked about her several times here on this live. She came in second in Charlotte. Came into Pittsburgh. A little bit fuller, a little bit rounder in the glutes. That was her feedback. Ended up placing top 4. So she would be probably your front runner for this show. Now, that said, she hasn't won a show yet. She hasn't been to the Olympia. She's been, missed second place so many times. She's always in that top 5, so I guarantee she's going to be in the top 5 here. It's just going to be a matter of where. When she competed in Charlotte, I had her winning. She came in second. She came into Pittsburgh, top 4. So again, she should be a front runner here. This was a beautiful package for her in Pittsburgh. We just talked about her a week ago, because again, she placed that top 4. So if she comes back with the same package for this show, I can see her easily getting into that top spot. So let's take a look at her back shot. Here we go. So from the back, the only thing I would fix here really is she's squatting a little bit in the back pose, so just stand up a little taller. Of course, this could be in between her shots too. And they could have done this on purpose to give her a little bit more pop to that glute. But this was definitely an improved look versus what she had in Charlotte. So if she brings this in again, she could definitely be in the top spot. Yeah, I could see her winning the show for sure. I do think she's going to be up in the top 3. Then it's going to be a matter of who comes in best as far as who's going to take home this particular title. Again, she has not won a show yet, so this would be great if she could win a show. But that also means that this is not for sure hers, just because she would be considered your front runner coming in, right? Yulia is doing this show too. Yulia did place in Pittsburgh. Again, when we're talking about Pittsburgh, it was 14 Olympians deep. And I think she ended up placing 13th, I think, at Pittsburgh is what it was. I don't remember. Hold up. 15th. She placed 15th at Pittsburgh. So she just squeaked in with placing. She was just too hard in Pittsburgh. So I know from seeing photos of her going into the show, she is eating like crazy. She said she felt like she's in off season. They're trying to fill her out. And that was her feedback. Her feedback was, her feedback actually was to fix the tan. And she needs more size. So she fixed a lot of things from girl power going into Pittsburgh, but she's also one of these ones that once her metabolism starts running, there's no stopping it. So if she can keep that fullness and keep that roundness, this could be a show for her to win too. She is a previous Olympian. She's one of those people that when she's got a goal, she's going to go after it. She's going to hit it. So if she comes in full enough, she's one where her glutes could rival Ashley's, right? The issue here, though, is that clearly she's got the etched in hamstrings and stuff. So again, I've seen photos of her now. She is a lot fuller right now. So if she can hold that fullness going into the show, again, this could be an easily top 5 for her, fighting for those top spots. So she's definitely one to be watching this weekend. And of course, she's one of my athletes. That's a suit that I made for her in a matter of a week. So she's one of my sponsored athletes. So just so you know, I have bias. In this one. Kimberly Bonilla is also up in this show. She has had a few top 5 placings this year. This was Klash, and she was 8th in Klash. This was her last show that she was up in. Go. My critique for her is always pretty much the same. Like, her posing has changed a little bit through the shows, which has gotten a little bit better. She just needs more size on her upper body more than anything else because she has a really long torso, so it makes her look very thin. Her lower half of her body looks great. It's just her upper body tends to look a little bit thin, a little bit small. And I would also say she's one of these ones that needs to amplify her glam factor. Makeup and hair is always a little bit underwhelming with her, as well as the suit. She tends to wear a red suit. This is the green one. She does kind of flip back and forth between the red and the green. I like the red one on her better than the green, personally. But I think she does her own hair and makeup. I would like to see her amplify that. I would like to see her bump up the glam look. Maybe have somebody else do it for her. Who knows? But I think that would be something she could easily amplify with her look. Let's find a good, I don't know if they have a full back pose. Nope, not a full back pose. So, unless they're really close up, which is that one, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to do one where she's almost in her back pose. I don't want to do the one where she's like half cut off. Let's see. So she's almost getting to this pose. When she's fully in it, I mean, she's pretty much spot on with her conditioning, but you can see here, I mean, she's full and round in the glutes. We don't have that fullness and roundness in the shoulders, right? So I think that's really where her physique needs to improve, is the upper body more than anything else. She has definitely improved. She's definitely improved. And I feel like she's improved each show as well. I just like to see that presentation aspect of her get a little bit better, the posing, the hair and makeup. And then she just needs to fill out that upper body to match her lower. So in this show, she could absolutely be in the top 5. She's definitely one to be watching. I don't see her winning it, but I can see her in the top 5. And then we have Nicole. Well, this is not going to show Nicole. So Nicole did not place very well at Wasatch Warrior, but she has at every other show. So I did pull her up for that reason. Now, she tends to be pretty good in the over 40 category. She does tend to win or place top 2 in over 40. And then she tends to be in that first to second call out in the open. She's got a lot of muscle. She's very dense. So that sometimes hurts her. In this particular lineup, it could help her because we've got, Yulia has a little bit more density. I would say Maria has a little bit more density, but she's also fuller. So she could potentially compare well in this particular lineup. So I am putting her in there as somebody to be paying attention to. If she's going to be in this, I would say she's probably going to be towards the bottom of the first call out. But still, that's really good. I would probably put her in that bottom of the first call out, maybe top 5, maybe 6, 7, that kind of thing, depending on how they do the call outs. From what people said with Wasatch, they felt like she just kind of got overlooked because it was such a big lineup. I would say, just looking at this, she probably had some tanning issues. Looks a little bit like she's got some tanning issues here. The one thing that we've talked about with her too in the past is that if she has a little bit of a bigger suit cut, I think that would actually help her. I think the suit cut's actually a little bit too small on her, the coverage, which makes her look like she's all glutes when she's on stage. I think if she got a little bit more coverage on the suit, that would actually help balancing her frame out a little bit. So I'm curious to see what kind of improvement she's made since Wasatch. Could be significant, could be relatively the same, but I do think she could be up in the top call out here. And I pulled up Brittany as well, who did place at Pittsburgh too. She placed 9th. She placed 9th at Pittsburgh. She was another one that improved her look from Wasatch to Pittsburgh. She was 2nd in Wasatch. She downsized a little bit here as far as her posing and things like that from Wasatch to Pittsburgh. This was a better look on her. We've talked about this before. I'm not a huge fan of the suit on her. I like to see a different suit. I think from what I've seen from posing, I think she's changed some of her posing a little bit. One of the things that is different from this pose versus Wasatch is she posed a little bit bigger at Wasatch, which then in turn made her waistline look a little bit tighter. This doesn't make her waistline look as tight, but it also minimizes how big her shoulders can be. So, you've got to kind of go with what the criteria is. I understand why she posed the way she did at Wasatch because it was flattering to her frame, but that doesn't really fit the criteria as much as this fits the criteria a little bit better. So I'm curious to see what she does going into the show, what changes that she's made. I don't know what her feedback was at Pittsburgh, but again, she's another one that's a little bit more on the muscular side. So when we're talking about this, and I just talked about Nicole, these ladies, all of them have comparable physiques. So it's going to be a matter of how they show up that day. I do think this is a better look from the back with her than what she had in Wasatch as well. She's not quite as conditioned. She's a little bit softer, which I think is good. I think it fills her glutes out a little bit more. So again, she's going to be going up against a Yulia who is also a little bit on the harder side, a little bit on the more muscular side. So it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be an interesting show. It's going to be an interesting show here. It's going to be a matter of who comes in the best and closest to the criteria, basically. And then I did bring up Hope because Hope has placed in the top 5 in the past. Like last year, 2 years ago, 2022. She hasn't been on stage in a while. She hasn't been on stage since 2022. So it's been a while for her. She's been off stage. So I did pull her up just to give her a few little ups. Don't know what she's going to look like coming into this show, but anybody that's placed top 5 in the past, we have to look at as well. And again, she's a little bit more on that broader, more muscular side, so she could compare very well to all the rest of these girls that we've just been talking about. This particular show, the lighting was terrible, so hard to see what's going on here. But again, her frame is one of those frames that could very well compare to the girls we've just talked about. So wanted to put her out there on the radar as well. Anybody else that I missed in this lineup? Anybody that I missed? Sorry, my nose is a little stuffy. I feel like I'm talking through my nose tonight. It's a decent list. There's a lot of girls on here that we're not super familiar with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 girls. So again, decent list. There's a handful of girls on here that have not competed in a while. I'm familiar with their names, but they haven't competed in a while. And then there's girls on here that I don't know that are from outside the US, all of that kind of stuff too. So it's going to be a very interesting show to see how this is going to come, how this is going to work out. Again, on paper, Maria would be your front runner, but again, she has not won a show yet. Brittany has won a show in the past. Yulia's won a show in the past. So even though even though Maria would be technically your front runner, it's anybody's game. And I love shows that are anybody's game, right? What do you guys think? Who do you think is the front runner going into this? Who do you think is going to walk away from this with a win? Let me know. Type in the comments. Tell me who you think is going to take home the win here. And the cool thing about this particular show is, like I said, all of those physiques are going to compare pretty well to each other, right? So it's going to be a matter of who comes in the best. It's going to be a matter of who comes in the best that day. Brittany, Maria. Yeah, again, going into it on paper, Maria is your front runner. So we'll see. We'll see if that's how that works out. She's one of those ones, eventually she's going to get a win. There's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. That's kind of her right now. So eventually she's going to get a win here. Anybody else got anything anybody they want to throw in the ring? Stop sharing right now. Well, we're waiting for that to come out. If anybody else wanted to put their 2 cents in. Like I said, bikini bag right here. Just had one that came in. Somebody just bought one a second ago. I saw it come through on my notifications while we're here on live, so they're going really, really fast. The competitor list is on ifbbpro.com. So that was a question that came in from Instagram. So yeah, so it's gonna be an interesting show. I'm curious to see how it works out at Optimum between those top 4 girls kind of thing, and then I'm really interested to see how this particular show works out at Klash, because there's just so many variables. But the physiques are all relatively similar. So, me. Who's me? Sarah. I've only got a first name here up on the screen, so tell me who you are. Hold on. Is there a Sarah here? There's no Sarah on the... Oh, Sarah, are you saying you're the one that bought the... I'm like, Sarah, are you on the list? I think Sarah's the one that bought the bikini bag. That's too funny. Well, good. I'm glad you got yourself a bag. That's awesome. I'm still looking like there's no Sarah on the list. Too funny. That's awesome. Well, you're gonna love it. I know I do. Like I said, I use it all the time. That's great. Love it. As we're talking here, it's funny because my husband's upstairs right now and I can hear him packaging up bags to ship out. So they're getting shipped. A bunch of them are getting shipped out right now as we speak. So, that'll do it for us for tonight. So it's going to be a fun show weekend. We are shooting Behind the Bikini tomorrow. So be watching, turning your notifications on. If you're not already subscribed, you need to be. Turn your notifications on. And then you'll see when that episode goes live tomorrow. We do have special guests that are coming on tomorrow. So it'll be a fun one. So make sure that you're doing that. If you need anything when it comes to sports nutrition, food, apparel, all of that, go to Prozis.com right here. If you need anything with your tanning, makeup, anything like that for your Showday, Liquid Sun Rayz right here. All right. Those are our channel partners. So make sure to go give them some love. Use my code Cuties15 for Liquid Sun Rayz, Cuties10 for Prozis. Grab yourself a bikini bag, all the fun things. Anything else you need, it's in the description box here on YouTube, so you got it. And with that, we'll be back again next week live, and we'll see who wins these shows. We'll see who takes home those Olympia qualifications, right? All right, you guys, have a great